Welcome to the Be Real podcast with your hosts, Bobby Maximus and Joe Cebula, and we're going to get right into it today. The information you've wanted your whole life. We're going to teach you 3 ways to be a beast. Now, Joe, it's got a corny title. I hate the clickbait mentality. I can't stand the 3 easy payments of $9.99 or hacks or shortcuts.
You got to pay to play, Bobby. This is how it works.
You got to pay to play. If we don't say 3 ways you're going to be a beast, for example, if we say 3 paths to self-improvement, you're not going to watch that video. You've been listening to your Eminem. You've been listening to whatever pop anthem you've been listening to, and you're out there thinking that you're just going to change the whole world overnight by watching a 10-minute video. So here, we're going to play along.
All right, let's do this.
All right. So the first way, and we're going to give you 3 that you're going to be a beast. The first way is I want you to take 30 minutes a day, just 30 minutes, and I want you to devote it to yourself. I want you to pay yourself first. I want you to not worry about your work, not worry about your spouse, not worry about your kids, not worry about your partner, not worry about your neighbor, not worry about any single other person's needs on the planet. You need to take 30 minutes a day and prioritize you.
Yeah, we used to joke a while back. There was a lot of gyms that were opening up that it wasn't a gym. It was a project, right? It was like some sort of huge undertaking that needed to happen. And it was just kind of funny because it was everywhere we looked. This is what we were seeing. But there is something to that mentality of there is a continued effort that needs to be put forth, and it needs to be a daily effort. I said to you earlier, if you want to get good at playing the violin, if you're not willing to put in even 30 minutes every day at the violin, you're not going to be a beast at the violin. And pick anything. You want to be a good chef, you're going to have to put more effort in than just that bare minimum.
But not only that, Joe, what's the rule on the airplane? The airplane hits a massive amount of turbulence, you're going to crash, there's some big problem, and the oxygen masks come down. Do you put it on your kid first or put it on yourself first?
You have to adjust your own mask before you help your children with theirs.
Correct. Because if you go out, if you go unconscious, if you can't breathe, you can't help anybody else.
Amen.
And we forget about this. Like at some point, people started looking at self-care as selfish. Yeah. But it's actually the most selfless thing you can do, Joe. Like speaking to you as a parent, if you are run down, you're tired, you're stressed, you're annoyed, you're irritable, you're anxious. What does that look like for your kids? How are you going to interact with them? Like, do you really think you're going to have quality time with them or that's going to be fun for them? No, all they're going to be dealing with is a stressed, anxious, ragey, yelling dad. On the other hand, if you take care of yourself, they're going to have a good experience.
Absolutely. It's something to follow. And I always like to take examples to the extreme. And parents are always on the, well, I have sacrificed so much for my children. Well, what if the sacrifice is throwing a virgin into a volcano or whatever to appease the volcano god? If you're the first one to jump in, you're done. Your sacrifice is over and you are not contributing anything to anyone anymore. So sometimes the best way is to not be the first one to just jump off. Like you got to take care of yourself. And like I said, you need to be able to lead by example, especially with kids.
And if you can't put 30 minutes aside, Joe, you're not going to be a beast. Yeah. Whether that's for working out, yoga, sauna, a walk, some mental health care, something you really want to do.
If you only put 30 minutes a day into your job, they would fire you.
Yes.
I mean, the worst person in your office works more than 30 minutes a day. So,
that's a fact.
Take your time you want to be a beast.
You want to be a beast. Beasts aren't thinking about the needs of, let's bring it back to our target audience, Joe. The wolves aren't thinking about the needs of the sheep.
There you go. I love it.
I'm just roll my eyes because there's a bunch of guys out there that thinking they're wolves. No, my friend, you are actually the sheep. Let's be clear on that. But moving on, that's number 1.
Yep.
Number 2, you got to be willing to do hard things. And you got to be willing, Joe, to do hard things first.
Yes, absolutely. And it's that walk before you run mentality. If you've got to put that work in up front.
What's the premise of every single martial arts show, cartoon. I've been really into anime lately. Everything is you got to focus on the basics. If you're only going to do one thing, you got to be the best at that one thing. You got to do it to perfection. There's always some story about a person. It goes back to the Karate Kid, Joe. What does he make the kid do? Wax on, wax off, wax the car, wax off the car. He's got to paint the fence. He's got to do all this stuff before he's even allowed to train karate. But
versus
you watch the internet.
Versus being the guy who shows up on day one with the brand new shiny uniform with that awesome belt with his name embroidered on it. He's got the sparring gear that's like sparkly and new and top of the line, electronic, whatever. And it's like you've never even thrown a punch or a kick.
No, that's the thing. But you watch the internet, you watch your social media, you watch a video on YouTube, and then you think that you need the hack, you need the shortcut, you're the expert, you need the 3 easy payments of $9.99. You're not willing to put in the beginner work. I see it at jiu-jitsu all the time where adults who start in their 40s, Joe, they're too cool, they're too advanced. They see too much red to learn what the kids learn in kids class. And they get torn apart by a kid. Like, you have to do the hard things first. We talked about it. Why have $100 shoes when you have a 10-cent squat? Just learn to squat first.
Thank you, Louis Simmons.
Barbell.
Right?
You have 1,000-pound barbell, but you can't snatch 95 pounds. Like, what are we doing right now?
The $1,000 barbell, that one gets me. This was a big thing in CrossFit where people would come in, again, with the brand new, Reebok Nanos, $1,000 Eleiko bar with their personalized plates and their elbow sleeves and their knee sleeves. And then, they can't even snatch 100 pounds.
And this person would have their own barbell because the barbells at the gym were just not good enough for them.
That was the problem. The reason they weren't good was because the barbells were cheap, right? And
this person's put 2 minutes of work in their entire life. So you really want to be a beast, do the hard things first.
Yeah, our friend C.T. Fletcher is amazing on this because he talks about the value of the pig iron. Just lifting the rusty plates in your backyard until it's just not enough. Mm-hmm.
Learn to suffer a little bit. You'll be a lot better for it. Trust me.
Yeah.
And the third thing, you want to be a beast, and this is going to trigger a lot of people. You got to present yourself as a beast. Joe, I'm watching.
Not putting on airs, because we just talked about that. You can't just get a certain haircut and buy the T-shirt and then wham, you're a beast. It's like you got to look like a beast under the T-shirt.
No. So here's what I'm going to liken this to. I'm watching this anime called Demon Slayer. And they do a really good job. It's really, really martial arts based, Joe. And there's these 3 characters. There's Inosuke, there's Tanjiro, and there's Zenitsu. And I'm going somewhere with this. If you just tuned out because you don't like anime, I don't care. This podcast is not for you.
For those of you who don't know, Bobby is a huge nerd.
Huge nerd.
For real.
But there's these 3 characters, Joe. They all fight. They all have katana blades. You would love it. At the start of the show, when they're weaker, when they're vulnerable, when they're level 1 versus level 10 or level 20, what do you think they look like? They're skinny. They don't have muscle. They look like they're weak, Joe. But as they train and as it goes from season 1 to season 5, what do you think happens to their bodies? Take a guess.
I'm going to guess that they get more muscular, leaner.
It looks like they took boatloads of steroids, Joe. They take off their kimono and they're just stacked. Muscles on muscles on muscles on muscles. Like, they look like they're beasts. And they actually reference it in the show where people will say, wow, you look a lot stronger. You look formidable. You look so powerful. And you can see their evolution as a character. So here you are, and you're listening to, again, Eminem. You're listening to whatever pop anthem you're listening to. You think you're a bad bitch, and you get out of the car, and you are 40 pounds overweight. You can't touch your toes, or you're a 45-year-old man, and it's my favorite saying ever, with the shoulders of a brook trout. Like, in what universe, Joe? My question is, in what universe are you a beast?
Right.
Physical appearance matters. And I will tell you, people judge. When I see somebody, and I'm not just talking about abs and pecs and capped shoulders and bicep veins anymore. When I see somebody that has no oral hygiene, that has no hygiene period, that doesn't care about how they dress, that's not presentable, that clearly doesn't care about their outward appearance. My question is, how am I to assume then you have discipline in other areas? Like you can't handle this. How are you disciplined in other areas? How are you committed
a good
in other
example.
areas?
You're standing outside and a Lamborghini pulls up and that side door slides open. And some of you may know that there was a viral video of this years ago. But instead, you're kind of imagining like some slick Italian dude, with like jacked arms, the sunglasses, the slick back hair. He's the guy that you think is going to come out of this. Some dude in a business suit, some millionaire. And instead, you get this dude who's like 40 or 50 pounds overweight that can't even get out of the Lamborghini. You remember these videos? This big fat dude, and he's like, he can't sit up, he can't get his leg out. Like, that's what ends up happening. You kind of lose credibility because of that.
Yeah. And on the other hand, it can work the other way where you can gain credibility. Like when I see someone who doesn't look the part, but then does something or has something to make it appear
it isn't all physical appearance for sure. But you got to carry yourself.
Yeah, there's something about this person. And the most simple thing that you can control, Joe, is your physical appearance.
Yeah.
You can control going to the gym and working hard, and you can control what you put in your mouth.
Yep.
It's that simple. So you want to be a beast. You want people to respect you. You want people to fear you. It's kind of like the guy, and I was making fun of him earlier, Joe, and we'll end on this note. Hopefully we trigger a lot of people. It's that guy who thinks he's the wolf. It's that guy who thinks he's the lion and everybody else is a sheep. And he's got the rattlesnake shirt and he's open carry and he's got the hat and everything is guns and freedom and come and take it from me. I'm going to stand my ground.
Yep.
But
you better, because you sure as shit can't run.
Yeah. He looks like if he were to sprint up the stairs, he would have a heart attack.
Yeah.
You're not taking care of yourself. I can listen to that message, Joe, from the person that checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
That head to toe takes care of themselves. I mean, my real question for you is, Joe, because we joke about this a lot. You're 80 pounds overweight. Your blood pressure is through the roof. You can't run up a flight of stairs. What are you really going to do in the zombie apocalypse?
Get eaten.
Good. You got a gun. Great. You're out of bullet. What are you really going to do? You can't run.
You don't have to worry about the zombies because you're going to run 100 yards and die of a heart attack. So
fair enough. You are good. So those are the 3 ways that you're going to be a beast, that you're going to improve yourself. Number 1, 30 minutes a day. I don't care what it's for. You're going to put yourself first for 30 minutes. Number 2, you're going to do hard things first. You're going to learn to suffer. And then number 3, you got to look the part. Make yourself hard and you will be hard.
And if you don't look the part today, stick to these things and you will eventually look the part.
Tomorrow. Podcast over.